Hello! So yesterday evening I was so inspired by the beauty of the sunset and the practice that I was enjoying down, being part of it with sound and my crystals, that I did the recording of activating crystals using love. And I woke up today and I thought, oh, it would be good as well to remind ourselves ways we cleanse our crystals. So in that vein, I have brought some stones outside by the bluebells, and I thought I'd show you some of the ways that I cleanse my crystals. So I brought you a beautiful fluorite, shows the fluorite structure, the beautiful cubic structure. So, and fluorite is so grounding and so cleansing and so stabilizing, and has an element of discipline to it. And I thought sharing cleansing crystals, it was a good one to bring with me, so I'm communicating with you some of the practical and helpful ways we can optimize working with crystals in partnership, in a respectful partnership. So one of the ways that I love to cleanse crystals is in a natural water source. So I haven't got a river right here to to put it under, but yes, that would be holding it under natural water, putting it in the river, obviously being careful you don't lose it. Cleanses crystals beautifully and energizes it beautifully. Some crystals don't like water, so you have to be aware of that. One of them, selenite, gypsum, that doesn't like water, it damages it. Most of the quartzes and the main crystals that most people have are quite happy in water. I would also choose water to cleanse if I was going to be working with my stone in terms of emotional cleansing, working with the flow in life, working with the element of water. So you can have a think about not only what your crystal likes to element, it likes, how it likes to be cleansed, but you can think about how you're going to be working with it. So that's something to think about. Then you could, some people in crystal books talk about cleansing crystals with salt water. Now I would never do that. I was taught that salt in itself is a crystal in itself, and if you put crystals in salt water it will damage the crystal structure. That's why I don't ever do that, although sometimes I sit by the sea with my crystal with it, and somehow there seems to be a cleansing effect having them on the beach by the sea. But no, I wouldn't put crystals in salt water myself. We could also use some form of smudging. I use white sage. I think it's an important thought to think about beginning to source our herbs and plants that we use in practice, in our spiritual practice, locally. In the past I've used American white sage because I was taught that's an amazing purifying smudge, but I'm being more present with who grows sage around here, growing it myself. I have a beautiful friend called Emma who grows her own herbs. She's a herbalist, so I'm hoping to source more of the herbs that I work with from her, because that's her life's practice, and so she had this wonderful relationship with them. So, but today, to show you, I have some white sage. I shall light it, and I'm just passing the smoke around the planes of the crystal. And when you get sensitive, you can feel with the sage, you can feel how it just seems to lift away denser energies. It's lovely. So one thing to be aware of, obviously, if you're working with any form of smoke, you have to be careful around people with any sort of chest problems, chest illnesses, weaknesses. And also, sage isn't a good idea to work around anyone who is pregnant, because it can stimulate contractions, so you be careful of that. Another way to cleanse our crystals, well, I will always, if I've done any real work with my stones and they've started to feel heavy and sticky, I will always return them to the earth, either under a tree, in my plant pot, sometimes just outside after I've been working, but I find that that grounds any energies, relinks into the earth matrix, the earth, the natural energies. So yeah, always be aware, if you've been working with stones, if it starts to feel sticky and heavy or strange or doesn't feel comfortable to hold, that they need a good cleansing, and that can be returning it to the earth. Okay. Another way for people who like to do it a little bit quicker is by fire. Again, some stones aren't going to like that. Opal particularly isn't going to like to be cleansed by fire, but you can take a candle. I have a candle outside in the bluebells, and you can pass your stone really fast through the flame. Always have a focus in your mind when you're doing something with your stones of what it is you're doing. So when I'm cleansing my crystal, I'm holding very clearly in my mind and heart, may this crystal be cleansed of any inappropriate energies. May this crystal be cleansed of any inappropriate energies. And pass it through the flame. And that's a really quick way of cleansing energies from a stone. Or if you want to do it more thoroughly with fire, you can light 3 candles and dedicate them to cleansing, to clearing energies as you light each one, and place the crystal in the middle of the triangle of candles and leave it till the candles burn through. And then you will have fully cleansed your crystal with fire. So another beautiful way of cleansing crystals is, once for somebody I love, I collected all the fallen petals from the park, of all the roses in the rose park, and I didn't pick it off the flowers, I promise, I wasn't naughty. I picked them all off the floor, off the grass. I collected loads of them, and I put a piece of jewellery that had a kind of history to it that somebody else had, and it had been passed on to a loved one of mine. And you can put your crystal, bury them in petals or flowers and leave it for an amount of time, and that's a beautiful way of cleansing and energizing your crystals. Then obviously once it's done, you give the petals back to the earth. You be careful what you do with them, because they will have absorbed and taken away some of the energies of the stones. So the other thing you can do when you work with anything, whether that be the sage, the petals, the water, remember to thank the spirit of the element that you're working with that's helping you cleanse. Respect it, thank it, know that Great Spirit is within it and it's serving you and helping you, and acknowledge that. Yeah. So another way that I was taught, but I've never used it actually, but I'll share it with you anyway, is I should try it really and see if it works. But rice, apparently, brown rice, if you bury your crystal for 24 hours in brown rice, it will apparently take away any negative energies. Now, I've not done it, so if anybody does it, let me know. And obviously, afterwards, you bury the rice, you don't eat it. Give it back to the earth and thank the rice and the spirit of the rice and how it came to be with you for the cleansing. So, next one, sound. So, if you're lucky to have anything like some lovely tinctures, any tinctures, you can take your crystal. Where shall I put it? I don't think you can quite see it, but I would take. How do I put it? Put it like this. No, I think you're just going to have to. So you chime your bells, and then bring the bells, the sound, around the stone, in some ways in the same way as you used the sage. Let the sound work in waves through the crystal, and that will help clear the energies there. I'm also lucky enough to have some little sounding tuning forks, and one of them they're particularly attuned. They're called angel tuners, and they're supposed to be at a frequency to attune crystals or sound around you to the angelic frequencies, but one of them is particularly appropriate for cleansing crystals. So quite like that. It's funny actually how sometimes you use different techniques and you'll find that one may really get to a part of a crystal that others haven't. So have a play if you've got different ways, because it is worth exploring. Obviously a different end of the sound spectrum is drumming. And if you can cleanse a crystal with these different tools, you can cleanse your home, you can cleanse your own energy field, so it's worth playing with these things. And obviously sound that you make yourself. Chanting an Om is a very pure sound to the source of the universe, so that's a lovely way of sounding and energizing your crystal. Lovely. So, have I got anything else that I was gonna? So there's also some people like to place a crystal on something like an amethyst bed, and but just to be aware, because the violet light, the violet frequency of the amethyst is very cleansing. It clears energy through, and it's a very spiritual vibration. But some of the softer crystals put onto an amethyst bed or a crystal bed could get scratched, so be aware of that. I actually like using a selenite plate. I prefer that. I place some of my stones from my jewellery when I take them off. If I'm not putting them outside, which I do often, but I like cleansing and charging on a selenite plate. Your breath. So you can use your breath to cleanse a crystal. Now, some would just say breathing into it, but there is a technique that I was taught that I find really clears energy really quickly and really effectively. It can be a little bit to share to show people, but okay. You hold in your mind's eye, you focus here, cleansed of any inappropriate energies, really focus on that thought, and then you breathe through your nose really, really fast down through your nose into the crystal, and the air kind of spirals out into the stone and it cleanses crystal energy really fast. Okay. Now you have to be a little bit aware around the nose area if you're doing this in public, but it is a really good way of cleaning crystal energy. So, and the other way, which I find really effective, is I will hold a crystal downwards, maybe even put it against the earth, and I imagine a flow of light, a light coming from the higher realms, flowing down through me, through the crystal, washing through the stone and taking the energy into the earth, and giving thanks to the earth for receiving what's being cleansed from it. Have I given you enough? So anyway, that's given you a few ideas. Oh, there you go. I've got one more thing with me that I shall show you. I also sometimes I have an amethyst angel dowser. So again, as I said before, amethyst is really, really good for clearing the violet ray, the violet light, clearing energies, clearing lower frequency energies. So sometimes I will use my dowser. I use my dowser very much more for energy flow rather than asking specific questions and answers for questions. And I find that if I let the amethyst bring energy through a crystal, then it helps clear. You can use a dowser if you're aware of dowsing, and that's a whole other thing, so I'm not really going to go into it. But if you have got a dowser and you want to use it to check how cleansed your crystal is, how balanced it is, how steady it is, you can use your dowser. I know what I was going to say before about the amethyst. So if you leave your crystals on another bigger crystal bed in order to charge it or cleanse it, what you may find is the signature of the amethyst, if you've got a big amethyst cave and you've put your stone on it, it may kind of overtake. It might sort of almost become too much amethysty rather than its original stone. So just be aware of sometimes. Well, the most important thing, actually, just to digress, is to listen to your stones. Listen to which ones want to work with you. Listen with your whole body. Listen with your instincts. Listen with your heart, with your belly. Listen to how they want to be cleansed, whether they feel okay or whether they need to be put outside or whether they need to be cleansed or activated. Are they sleepy? Are they heavy? And the only way you can do that is actually by playing with them and being with them and working with them. And it's an amazing thing to spend time, if you have time, when you have time with everything else. But I particularly think in a time where we don't know how things will be and how things could be, these are great teachers. They bring in our home, in our bodies, in our families, in our energy fields that we dwell in, into resonance with nature's harmonious, original blueprints, patterns. They're nature's structure in crystal light form, in light anchored in the earth, and they've come out of the earth, and thus if we work with them they can help us bring Gaia's wisdom, her patterns, her universal truths into whatever patterns we're bringing through for the next phase of whatever's coming next for us. So I hope you enjoyed my slightly alternative Bluebell Hedge crystal cleansing session. Namaste. Bye bye.